All right, so we've reached our part in Unit 4 with potential and kinetic energy, where it's time for us to learn how to graph those. When we graph them, we are going to be doing line graphs, so we're going to review the parts of a graph. And the first part we have is the y-axis and the x-axis. So let's go ahead and grab this definition. A y-axis is the line on a graph that runs vertically, and vertically means up and down. So we want to draw this little visual to help us remember. And that means that it's going to go through 0, and that's where our dependent variable is going to be listed. So jot that down in your notes. At any time during the video, feel free to pause to get the information that you need. And don't forget to highlight your term y-axis. For the x-axis, that's going to be the line on the graph that runs horizontally. And when I see the word horizontally, I think about the horizon, like at the beach where the sky meets the ocean. That's called the horizon line. So that's going to be left to right, and that's going to also be through 0. So we want to draw this little picture to help us remember what that looks like. And that's going to be where our independent variable goes. Don't forget to highlight the term x-axis. Then all good graphs have to have titles. And in science, the title of the graph will always be the y-axis versus the x-axis. And that would be the dependent variable versus the independent variable. And that's a D. The dependent variable versus the independent variable. And I always joke and tell my students that I hate writing titles of graphs. I wish they would die. Dependent versus independent, D versus I. And then the last little piece up here is proportional. What does it mean to be proportional? And that's when two quantities always have the same size in relation to each other. In other words, they have the same ratio. So an example for that would be like the formula for just example, the formula for water is always H2O. It's always 2 hydrogens for every 1 oxygen. It's proportional. But then an everyday, more common example is cooking rice. It's always 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice. So if I wanted to make 3 cups of rice, I would need 6 cups of water. That would be proportional. All right, then this is going to actually help you with 8th grade math. You're going to talk about linear and nonlinear in math. If it's linear, you see the word line there. If something is linear, like this makes a straight line, an equation that makes a straight line when it's graphed, it's just really that simple. If something is linear, it makes a straight line. And then let's just take a second, because we were talking about this a moment ago. There's our y-axis, and here is our x-axis, vertical and horizontal. And then this next piece, this is nonlinear. This is what's called a parabola. It's a curved line. A parabola is a special curved shape like an arch. And it's shaped like this for kinetic energy because the velocity is squared. If we were to make a table of y equals x squared, and we put 1 in for x, 1 squared is going to give me 1. But if we were to put 2 in for x, what's 2 squared? You all have been working on this in math. 2 squared is 4. If we were to put 3 in for x, 3 squared is 9. If we were to put 4 in for x, 4 squared is 16. And that is not going to increase at the same rate. These are increasing by 1s, and these are increasing by different quantities, by 3, by 5, and then by 7 here. So that's what gives us that curved parabola shape. So this we would say is nonlinear, whereas this makes a straight line and it is linear. Okay, when we flip the page, we see that potential energy is measured in joules. We already knew that. We learned that a few days back. Near Earth, you can calculate an object's gravitational potential energy with the following formula, and that's actually the formula you did, because mass and gravity is what gives you weight. We went ahead and combined them together for you. So in this formula, an object's mass in kilograms, gravity g is the object's acceleration. That's our 9.8, which we round to 10. And then the object's height a meter above the ground. Suppose the rock at the edge of the cliff has a mass of 10 kilograms and its height is the distance to the cliff bottom is 100 meters. Acceleration due to gravity near the Earth's surface is 9.8 meters per second squared. What is the gravitational potential energy of the rock? So you have the mass, you have gravity's number, and you have the height off the ground. And when you multiply those together, you get their potential energy. And that's all kind of old stuff that we practiced previously in the lesson. So here's a new problem. A 5 kilogram, there's our mass, bowling ball is raised into the air. First, it is raised to a height of 2 meters, then it is raised to a height of 4 meters, then 6 meters, and finally 8 meters. Calculate the amount of potential energy the ball has at each height and complete the table below. So to solve this, you're going to use this formula, potential energy equals the mass. Then we've got gravity's number. We're going to use 10 meters per second squared, knowing the high school number is 9.8. And then we're going to do the height. And remember, the height is what is changing here. The mass is constant of 5. So you're going to show your work here, and then you're going to solve. Go ahead and do that, and then we will plot our points. All right, so when you do that, go ahead and check your work. And when you plot your points, you should see that this is a linear line. And we see that as the height of the bowling ball increases, so does the potential energy at a constant rate because they are proportional. As one increases, the other increases at the same rate. I like to go ahead and throw another number in there and calculate and see that it increases 100, 200, 300, 400, and notice that if I raised it a height of 10, it would be 500. So it is proportional. Now, here is kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. It is also measured in joules because all energy is measured in joules. The amount of kinetic energy an object has depends on two factors, its mass and its velocity, and all of this is a review for us. And remember, velocity is just speed with a direction. So an object's kinetic energy changes if its mass or speed changes. You can calculate an object's kinetic energy with the formula below. Kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. And then here's it written in more symbol form. So in the formula, mass m is an object's mass in kilograms. Velocity v is the object's speed in meters per second. Think again of that 10 kilogram boulder at the top of the cliff. Suppose that at one point, as it falls to the cliff bottom, the boulder is moving at a speed of 20 meters per second. You can calculate its kinetic energy at that moment. Okay, so we take its mass, we're going to half it, we take its speed, and we're going to square it. And when we do that, we get 2,000 joules for its kinetic energy. All right, so here's a new problem. A student has 4 bowling balls. The first ball has a mass of 4 kilograms, the second 5 kilograms, the third 6 kilograms, and the last 7 kilograms. The The student rolls each ball so that it moves at a speed of 2 meters. So now the speed is constant, but the masses are varying. The masses are going to be different. Complete the table below by calculating the amount of kinetic energy in each ball. So go ahead and do that. Okay, when we plug in our information, 1/2 times the different masses, but our speeds are the same, squared, this is what we should get. And then when we plot it, I do want to have you note that this is like 1, 2, skip a few. They didn't start with 1 or 2, they began with 3 here, right there. See that? That's like a 1, 2, skip a few right there. That's what that little squiggle means. So this is linear, and that means that kinetic energy and mass are proportional. But I do want us to note that kinetic energy and velocity are not proportional because velocity is squared. That's what gives us that parabola shape, because the velocity is squared. Okay? Flip on over. Now we're going to use the graphs to answer the questions below. What relationship between potential energy and height is illustrated on the graph in 85? So if we go back to that graph right here, what relationship between potential energy and height do we see? We wrote it right there. So we would say that they are proportional. As one increases, the other increases at the same rate. What relationship between kinetic energy and mass is illustrated by the graph on 86? So right here, kinetic energy and the bowling ball's mass. We would say they are proportional. But again, I want us to note kinetic energy and velocity are not proportional because the velocity is squared in that formula. And then last, identify another relationship involving potential or kinetic energy that you could investigate. Well, we could look at potential energy and weight, and then we could look at the other piece of the puzzle with kinetic energy and velocity, knowing that it's squared. And then this piece, potential and kinetic energy transformations. Potential energy can change to kinetic energy and vice versa. Consider a car on a roller coaster. At the top of a hill on a track, the car has mostly potential energy. As the car rolls down the hill, it moves faster and faster. More and more of its potential energy changes to kinetic energy. At the bottom of the hill, the car has mostly kinetic energy. As the fast-moving car moves up the next hill, it slows down. At that time, the kinetic energy is changing back to potential energy. In the diagram below, the roller coaster cars have mostly potential energy at points A, C, and E. At points B, D, and F, the cars have mostly kinetic energy. So we would want to go ahead and label this picture with that information. And then make sure that you use your highlighters as well. Now, when we flip the page over, this is going to give you some practice in graphing. It's got a lot of numbers. I don't want you to get bogged down in it. It says calculate the kinetic energy that each of the following vehicles would have if they traveled 5 miles per hour. So you would take the mass, you would take their speed and square it, and then these are the answers in joules that you would get. Then you would take and create this graph labeling the x and y axis. When you plot your points, you see that they are linear. And so you would see that as mass increases, kinetic energy also increases. They are proportional to one another. They are directly proportional, actually. As one decreases, the other goes down. As one increases, the other goes up. Now on this page, we have a different scenario. We have a mass for these small carts, and we have their velocities. When we plug that information in, we get these numbers. We notice that the velocities, the vehicle's velocity is what we're plotting. So take a look here. You'll fill this out, and we'll notice that we get a parabola. And then we have this bottom piece to answer. As the velocity increases, the kinetic energy also increases, but it is not proportional. It is squared, which makes a parabola instead of being linear.